Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. My name is Matthew, and today I'm joined by Wade Bitaraf, who is the founder of Plug and Play Energy and Sustainability. Wade, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Matt.
It's an absolute pleasure. Whereabouts are we connecting from today, Wade? Where are you in the world?
I am based in Mountain View, California. It's a sunny day today in San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, good for you. You're quite lucky. Wade, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your company. We're going to speak a little bit about the entrepreneurial spirit, about navigating challenges in the business world, overcoming and conquering. Are you happy for us to get started?
Let's do it.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask you to give us a brief overview, as brief or as long as you'd like, about Plug and Play Energy and Sustainability. I've seen some big numbers. You have things like over 20 different industries that you work in, 50,000 different startups, 500 world-leading corporations. There's a lot of big numbers flying around. Can you tell us what's going on?
Of course. And I appreciate it. Thanks for the question. And hello, everyone. As Matt mentioned, my name is Wade Bitaraf. I'm the founder of Plug and Play Energy and Sustainability, and I lead corporate partnerships. Been with Plug and Play for about 7 years, and it's really great to see the idea of open innovation scale across different industries and different geographies. For those of you who are not familiar with Plug and Play is referred to as the largest open innovation platform in the market, which is relatively a broad term, but because we do a lot of different things. At the core, there are three main pillars of our business. First and foremost, we run over 60 business accelerator programs across more than 40 cities. Secondarily, we work with over 550 large corporations to fuel their external innovation strategy, primarily by matchmaking them with startups that can address their business challenges. And lastly, we ourselves invest in over 100 startups every year, deploying anywhere between $20 to $30 million a year into about 200 deals. So yeah, in a nutshell, we run accelerators, we work with large corporations, and we invest.
That is terrific. Those are some impressive figures that you've thrown out there, Wade. I'm going to take us a step back, though. If I can touch on some personal notes there, I see that you studied engineering, I believe gas and petroleum engineering, and there was another one. How did that come about? Let's go back to your college years, your university. You've got 2 master's degrees, if I'm right. Tell us about how that happened and how you progressed from master's in engineering to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was born and bred in my home country, Iran, and that's where I completed my undergrad studies. And when I moved to the US back in 2012 to advance my education, I first landed in Texas, where I continued the same route of chemical engineering and finished the program early. And when I embarked on a new program in West Virginia, I kind of was going deep in the math and science and physics behind everything. And about halfway in, I was presented to an opportunity to enter industry, and that was at a time where the oil and gas industry was facing an economical downturn, and that was a blessing in disguise. And I was able to, after finishing my kind of halfway program, which I defended my second master thesis, I moved to California, and I was given the chance to really test out, other things that I hadn't in the past, and, make a shift from the science and engineering career path to more of a business-oriented and people-centric career in sales and marketing in solar industry. So it was a big shift from what I was kind of trained for in school, but it turned out to be an interesting career and it's very satisfying to me. And I was able to perform well. And over, 3 consecutive months, I was the best performer of our sales and business development department. So that's when I decided to kind of pursue my dream and follow my passion. I moved to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, back in 2016 to kind of be closer to my brother, who was my only kind of family member at the time there. And after working a few months at a startup, continuing the business development round, I was introduced to Plug and Play, and that was when things came full circle, and I was given the chance to start and practice focusing on clean tech, because there were a number of large energy companies shopping for strategic investments in Silicon Valley and looking for a strategic partnership with startups. And our CEO and founder, Saeed Amidi, kind of gave me the chance to try this out and alluded into the fact that we should be more active in this space. And I was tasked to build, the three-pronged approach of growing the industry consortium, investing in the best startups, and building a community around energy and sustainability topics.
Wow, that's fantastic. It sounds like almost like a fairy tale story. You started down one path and chance and whatever it was led you into different areas, and you found yourself doing something that I suppose you are now more passionate about than what you would have imagined. If you thought about this when you were studying, would you have seen yourself in this role? Did you feel like you were destined for something like this, or had you pretty much mapped out your route before this happened?
Absolutely not. I mean, that was not a path that I had envisioned when I was entering my first, second, or even the third educational program that I joined. And I agree with you. It was a sequence of events, a chain of events that, luck was a very big component of it. I'm incredibly grateful for, the opportunities that were presented to me. And of course, there were certain points in this journey that I had to take a significant amount of risk, given that I was an international student with very little saving and also not a stable immigration status coming from Iran to the America. So I think overall there were like a combination of reasons that helped me to kind of get to the next stage of my career each and every time that I took a new route.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up, actually. That is something that's important to explore when we talk about risk and reward. And it sounds to me like you're the type of person that spots an opportunity, is presented an opportunity, and you grab it with both hands. And I'd like to explore that a little bit. Tell us about some of the risks that you took, and obviously the rewards that have come from those decisions.
Absolutely. I think one of the bigger ones that always stand out in my story is that when I decided to leave a program in West Virginia that I had a full ride on, the decision didn't seem intuitive to a lot of the friends and folks around me. That, I had the opportunity to complete a PhD program, and, I decided not to because I had initially decided to leave my home country to pursue my dream and take risk. And I found out the route to completing that program was not necessarily what would satisfy me. And if I wanted to, take on an easy route or stay in my comfort zone, I would have preferred to stay home. So I decided to take big risks and come out to California. And at a time, again, there were a lot of uncertainties as to, whether I would be able to land a job, given that I was making a big shift in my career, and and also the financial considerations were also very bold and important in that point, because I want to make sure that I can thrive during the course of the at least 6 months that I'm there exploring new job opportunities. So I think that was a big highlight of my journey when I decided to not complete my uh, PhD program and move to a new state and a new community and start a completely new job.
Wow. That is, as you said, that is quite the risk. I wonder, I wonder if my parents would have let me do something like that. They would have probably strangled me. Um, so good for you taking that chance, and I'm happy to hear that it paid off in the end. And obviously, not to sell yourself short, but you have a lot of drive, a lot of ambition, and it must have taken a lot of personal hard work for you to make these things into a reality. So congratulations for that. I want to talk to you a little bit about the entrepreneurial spirit, the drive. Okay, and then we're going to get into the business. We'll talk a little bit about your team, but talk to me about your drive. Where do you get your motivation from, or where did you draw your inspiration? These were big decisions you made. There must have been something inside you that was saying, "This is why I'm doing it. This is where I'm going." What was that for you?
Absolutely, and thank you for that. I think part of the reason that I always stayed motivated and I had the drive was thanks to my family, and particularly my brother, who had made the move out of our home country, Iran, a year prior to me, and he always set an example for me to do more and want to be more and try to have an impact. So I had that kind of personal inspiration in family, which I always didn't take as granted. And I think the second component of it was the fact that oftentimes I would try to create this sink or swim situation wherein I had to go full steam towards a goal that otherwise it would have the repercussions or the consequences were a lot. And I think that created a very strong drive in trying to focus on the goal. And lastly, the first kind of the last actually phase of the career was being in Silicon Valley, which is a very hard kind of environment in that it's very fast paced, and also the dynamic of the folks who have come together here and gathered from around the world. Some of the best entrepreneurs and some of the best thinkers in the world have come here to try and make an impact on a global scale. So that the fact that I was able to surround myself with some of these most amazing, trailblazers or game changers also gave me the motivation to kind of stay on par and like try to be able to add value to them, which required a lot of work, to your point, and a lot of planning in advance, so that I can connect some dots and also deliver some value to them. So I think it's a combination of reasons.
All right, so you moved into a very competitive environment, and you surrounded yourself with professionals and people who are very experienced in the industry. And so do you feel like you say, that helped to pick up your standards, that helped you to maybe not pick up your standards, but it raised your game to a new level, which you might not have expected before? And is there anything surprising that you learned about yourself, about your character through this experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right in that, just having the opportunity to meet with, on one hand, founders and entrepreneurs who are trying to, create the next big thing. And then on the other hand, meeting with corporate executives who look at the same challenges, but from a completely different lens. That really was an amazing opportunity to learn. And, we kind of put ourselves in the thick of it, and seeing the both ends of spectrum was, a great educational experience. And, what I found about myself was that that technical background and what I studied in my academic years had given me a perspective on technologies and also a critical thinking approach in many of the challenges that the startups are trying to tackle. And it helped to better understand what they do, even though it was completely out of the space that I was or I studied for, being chemical engineering. Oftentimes, in the startup ecosystem, you find technologies that are using the most cutting edge solutions, such as, machine learning, AI, and most recently with large language models and their applications in the industry. So these are things that I didn't necessarily study for back in the school days, but, just being there and having exposure and line of sight to some of the most amazing companies that are doing it on a day-to-day basis, that made me realize that uh, that combination would be really crucial in making the right decisions for investment opportunities or partnerships.
That's brilliant. I love the way you managed to tie in your skills with the changing environment, and talking about the skills, the teams, the company. Tell us a little bit about the people who you work with. You must have some rocks that are keeping you grounded. You are providing support for people around you. Tell us about your team dynamic and how you all manage to operate together.
Absolutely. In my most recent job here at Plug and Play, when I joined the company, we were a much smaller organization, and every industry, vertical, or practice that we had a greater degree of autonomy, and they would act as a startup within a broader kind of, or under the broader umbrella of Plug and Play. So, from day one of joining Plug and Play, I've been incredibly privileged to work with amazing colleagues, and I always have said it. The success that we have seen at my team and at Plug and Play as a whole has been only thanks to the people that we've been able to work with, and it's always about the team. And over the years that I've been at Plug and Play, in early days, it's more of like entrepreneurial kind of approach that we took in our teams and try to build the relationships with the key stakeholders within our own sector, being energy, sustainability, climate tech. And then as the company grew and the number of folks kind of increased in our organization, we started to kind of layer in more departments and define more functions that we can streamline some of the communications and run the company in a more lean and efficient way. So then we started to kind of work with colleagues that are, more diligent about their day-to-day work in terms of like the roles and the defined roles and responsibilities, and also the discipline that they would kind of implement into their day-to-day job. So again, I'd say, in my experience kind of building teams around these topics, I always found, huge gaps in my own skills that my team members have been able to fill in perfectly. And really, without having A-player type team members around you, I don't think you'd be able to take an idea from 0 to 100. And at some point, these challenges will surface and won't be addressable.
Fantastic. So it sounds like you're all parts of a greater puzzle, all working together. I like the fact that you mentioned being able to identify weakness, your own perceived weaknesses, and where other people's strengths would help to fill those out. I think that's something that a lot of people might look past today. We let our egos get in the way. We want to be the best. We want to be the fastest. We want to be the smartest. But being able to recognize other people and mesh their skills in with ours, I think is paramount to a company's success. And if I take that into another dimension here. Let's talk about how we manage our own personal weaknesses, not maybe in business, but maybe our own lives. How do you manage to maintain a healthy lifestyle with a healthy work balance, a healthy work-life balance, so to speak?
That's the $1 million question. And I think that's one that many of the folks in fast-paced environments and careers would be challenged with all the time. I think for me personally, it's been, the practice of trying to embrace some of the emotional signals that I receive from my day-to-day life. Like, for instance, whether it creates anxiety, happiness, anger, sadness, or whatever that is, instead of suppressing those emotions, embrace them, turn it into an action plan, and then move on so that we can continuously balance between them and don't let them get in our mind. I think that for me has been extremely helpful to kind of pay more attention to them, and on a regular basis, take a pause and really take in those emotions and try to really even sometimes write them down and then come back to them and analyze them. That's kind of like on a very emotional level. And then on a day-to-day basis, I try to make sure that some sort of physical activity is embedded in my routine so that I can balance out between my mental, physical, and emotional health. So all in all, I mean, working at Plug and Play will give you the opportunity to meet with some of the brightest minds out there. So that, intellectual challenge in career or in life for me is very important. And I'm glad that we're getting that addressed through work. But then for those who don't have that, I would, encourage them to, put themselves out of their comfort zone and somehow try to learn new things, either by, building teams or signing up on volunteer projects that can help them really expand their horizons. And I think that is very important in order to keep your mental balance all the time.
Absolutely. So we're looking at the sort of trifecta there: physical health, mental health, emotional or spiritual health. We often tend to leave one or two of them behind. And when we do, we can find ourselves in a spot of bother. Burnout is becoming more and more common every day. And, the world never stops putting pressure on us. I'm sure you'll agree. And there must have been times where you felt like, this is crazy. Maybe you felt like it's too much. Have you ever thought about quitting?
It's been great. For me, trying to have a North Star has always been my motto. And even though, like everyone else, the business can go through challenges, ups and downs, and, the excitements and sometimes the downtime. I feel like for us to have that, we got to be passionate about solving a problem. And if that's the case and we don't fall in love with the solution, we'll be able to navigate through it, all of the challenges that are thrown at us. And obviously, we haven't been immune to it, being at the heart of Silicon Valley and, seeing some, when you look at the ratio of startups, over 90% of the companies that are born won't make it to the finish line here in the technology ecosystem of Silicon Valley. So as you can imagine, burnout or, hard decisions that need to be made are part of the journey of launching a new company and growing it and trying to build the next big thing is not really easy. And statistically, these companies won't be able to last. So again, we're in the business of being optimistic and connecting dots and helping people investing in the best companies. So again, as you can imagine, this can be challenging at times, especially you know, I'm sure like everyone else, when, we went through COVID, a lot of those thoughts came to our mind because we didn't have that face-to-face interaction with people. Um, so for me, I mean, I always kept myself busy with a group of friends and mentors that helped guide the direction for me. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's been easy, but I'd say a rewarding journey.
Nice. So if I came to you, hypothetical situation, you've got a great knowledge on these things, and I said to you, I'd like to start a company. Okay, I pitch you an idea, and I give you a general overview of what I want to do. What is the first piece of advice you give me? You say, Matthew, before you go any further, this is what you need to think about. What is that thing? What is the first thing you tell me to do?
So if you were to start a new company, what would be the first suggestion or advice I would give? Is that?
That's right. I come to you and I tell you, this is what I want to do. I'm going to start a company that provides X internet service. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. What do I do?
Well, first of all, my immediate reaction to that is awesome. Let's do it. Why not? This has never been a better time to do it. There's so much excitement and support and engagement from all key stakeholders to help entrepreneurs to do it. So I do, however, when it comes to a little bit more tactical advice, if we get there, I would potentially point at one of the more critical components of success when it comes to launching a new company, and that really is team. Every year we invest in nearly 200 startups that are at their very early stage of sometimes even launching their company or forming their minimum viable product or haven't gone really to market yet. So there's a shortage of information or lack of data on their financials or on their technology. So we highly weight on the quality of the team and the story that they have that brought them together, and see how passionate they are about the problem that they're solving, and what is the chemistry between them. Do they have complementary skill sets, and do they kind of synchronize in a very smooth way and or not? So I'd say team is the most important thing that you would want to focus on when it comes to the first step of launching your own company, and always bring the best folks that are better at something than you, and present them to your potential investors or clients, and you would see that everybody will notice a great dynamic between your team.
I like that. I like the recurring theme, the community, the team, the working together. As somebody once said, no man is an island. So I really enjoy that. Now, tell me a little bit about what's in your future. What's in the company's future? Where are you going? What do you want to change? When you look back and you say, this was good. I did a good job. Where is that point?
Amazing. Yeah. And thank you for asking that. We as a company have gone through a few phases of strategic thinking about the future of plug and play. And one of the things that we had decided about a couple of years ago for the longevity of our business was that as a kind of family office, we would invest in early stage companies out of the private family office, and oftentimes we would see startups that are succeeding and raising the consequent round of funding, and we weren't able to invest in them because we didn't have the capital. So we decided to build, instruments where we can deploy capital in the later stage of fundings in our portfolio companies that are doing well. And, we started to raise 3 or 4 funds that enable us to exercise our pro rata rights in the companies that are doing well and help us maintain our shares and not leave the deals on the table. So I think the next phase of our company will be to kind of build a few more industry-specific funds that we can focus on deploying capital in the later stage companies as well. So that's number one as far as the plug and plays business is concerned. And I would say the second pillar was to enhance our geographical footprint globally. As you may be aware, in the US, Europe, Middle East, and some of the other key regions in the world, the governments have shown significant support to create entrepreneurial hubs that can help startups thrive. And Plug and Play has been able to kind of join the ride and also build new hubs around the world that created consortiums to help startups. So for us, in the next phase of Plug and Play, we wanted to expand our global hubs in regions like the US, thanks to the CHIPS Act, IRA, and a few other government movements, or in Europe because of the Green Deal and others. We have received tremendous support from the governments to launch new offices, and we are head down focused on building a global technology transfer network that can really bridge between our Silicon Valley mothership and import and export startups from around the world, because it is becoming more decentralized, and the talents, the capital, and the technology infrastructure has become abundant globally. So we want to make sure that we're part of that globalization movement.
Absolutely. And you're staying ahead of that. As you've said already, you've got a great team that you work with. So no fears then of falling behind. You've pretty much got everything mapped out, right, for the future.
Yeah, I'd say, we have seen already the initial phase of growth in the past 2 years, both with raising industry funds as well as launching new offices. Like most recently, we launched our office in Phoenix, Arizona, in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada, and a few offices in Saudi Arabia, and I think just the tail end of that will be just fantastic. Just going off of that, we have been lucky to work with a large team that are distributed in 40 offices, and we'd be able to mobilize them whenever a new opportunity presents itself to launch a new location, and we're incredibly excited about that.
It's fantastic. So, Wade, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I know you've got a lot going on, a lot of things that you're busy with. I wanted to say thank you for joining us today. I also want to say congratulations between your hard work. You mentioned luck a little bit, finding its way into your life, and I'm very glad for you. I'm glad that you've found yourself in this position through hard work and determination and whatever other factors it's been, and that you've built it up to this point where you can now help and you can share this with other people. And it means a lot to us and to the people that watch these podcasts to get this inside information and be able to build an idea of where they're going with their own lives. And I'm going to ask you if you can leave us with your final words of wisdom before we log off today.
Final words of wisdom. First of all, I really appreciate the kind words. I'm grateful to be here with you, and thank you for the podcast. And I think at the end, you mentioned it. Going on an entrepreneurial journey can oftentimes feel really lonely and challenging and hard, and it's really easier said than done. When you actually get into it, you start feeling the pain of hearing no's from everyone, or thinking that nobody believes in your vision or cares about your product. But I would say hang in there. I would say if you're surrounded with a great team, and if you're head down focused on creating value and building something that is addressing a pain point, you will get there. And for early stage companies, there are still a an abundance of opportunities around the world. And then I'm sure as the kind of the market picks up in the venture community for the later stage companies as well, they'd be able to get to the next scale that they're aiming for and meet the next milestone. So hang in there, and don't give up.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Ms. Wade, have a beautiful day further. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for everything. And I hope one day we can meet and we can have a chat
That'd be fantastic, man.
in person.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on today.